Howdy everybody, my name is Tony Gamez. I am the 2024 Bluecoats drum major for the show Changes Everything. And so we're taking a look today just at my head cam and kind of like timing things that I went through the season. Just things got different as time went on just to kind of make things a lot more dialed in. And so we're going to take a look at that, and I'm just going to give you a lot of my feedback of what I got during the season, of whether I had to be on the beat, off the beat, and things like that. So here we go, we're going to jump right into it. So we're starting right here at the top of the show, just getting everything ready. Actually, at the top of the show, I get a met of about 176 so that I have an accurate tempo just at the top. And so all these bops I'm breathing in the exact same as the brass. Just making sure that it's straight time and making sure that it's so even and there's no like difference between any of my downbeats. Takes a lot of focus, a lot of mental strength to make sure that you stay at the 176 tempo and just keep everything right. That entrance is super weird because the drums come in on 2, and I had to keep that 1 to 3 beat, and it was just very like awkward, but it got a lot better throughout the season. And so like right here, I'm just focusing on like not listening to the front ensemble, not listening to the band or the brass, and really truly focusing on like where their sticks hit at the exact same time. All this was just a lot of following the drum's feet, following their hands, and making sure that I was just like straight directly on their hands and their feet. Nothing has really changed yet. It's just kind of staying on the beat with what the drum line is putting. And so it was really weird because they were on all the way on the 30 side 2, and I was all the way on the 45 side 1, and so it was just a lot of very mental, like, okay, make sure gotta make sure that I'm on their feet always. But yeah, these bops right here is just a lot of the consistent time. Yeah, just straight consistent time, just making sure it doesn't change. Had to hold tempo, and then the drums came back in. All right here through their drum feature is just kind of focusing on making sure that I stay on the beat and making sure that it's very clear for everybody that's going around doing their thing. And this part right here, we have just a lot of like different patterns. So like we had like a couple 6/4s and a couple 4/4s, and a couple like 5/4s and stuff like that. So just making sure to keep the patterns correct. And just reading and knowing the drum book is going to help a lot when going through your show, because just of the fact that you know exactly what they're playing and you know where their hands are at. And so now that the drum break is ended, we're actually at a new tempo and we're at 184. This was really hard to dial in, but I had to keep a faster tempo of 184 to make sure that the mellows came in and the correct time, and so that they weren't falling behind if I stayed on the beat. So I had to be slightly on top. And the way I get back on tempo is when the bass drums come back in with their little rip into 1, and then I knew exactly where time was. And then right here is just following the drum line's feet, making sure that it stays just consistent, nothing changes. Couldn't listen to anything up front because most of the band had these like upbeat stuff, and I was like, okay, I just gotta stick to 1. And of course it was a 5/4. All of this was in 5/4, so that was fun. Had to keep tempo. 7/8 bars to 6/8, and it just interchanging stuff. Couldn't listen at all, just had to watch. And then right here at this pause, have to just really stay in time. The little dots really help a lot just to keep you in check and to make sure that you're staying just like directly in that pulse. And all right here is at 200 beats per minute. Everybody's marching, everybody's playing at 200 beats per minute. It's just insane. Still got to keep tempo all the way through, and I have to keep 200. Have to keep 200 because the guard is have their silent flag feature with the Mylar flags that make all the noise and stuff. And so we had to keep 200 the exact same. Couldn't change. And then right here, when we got into the ballad, I was actually on the marimbas, or the vibraphones, because they were only the ones playing. And right here, there's a drum major in the back, and where the trumpets are placed in the drill, I have to be slightly ahead of what I hear in the front ensemble to make the trumpet sound in time to everybody in the crowd. Because if I was on the front ensemble's tempo, I would have been, or the trumpets would have been entered late. And so I had to make sure to like stay on top so that it's to the audience's ear, everybody sounds in time. But to my ear, the front ensemble's playing behind my hands, which is awkward. And I'm still in front of the front ensemble right here all through this ballad stuff until the drumline comes in right in the back. And this was also a very hard moment because the drumline is all the way in side 2 corner end zone, and I am on the 45 on side 1, so it was very awkward. But this moment is just so gorgeous. Still ahead, keeping 100. And then the drumline comes in, and then that's when everything kind of flows out a little bit more. They're using rubber sticks, which was awkward just because I couldn't hear them as much. And right here, I'm just studying to make sure that I'm completely in time with the drum line when they turn backfield and to front field, and making sure that my hands stay completely on their time, because if there was any inconsistency, it would have been really different. And switching videos, because apparently, I don't know. But we're back into it. And right here is just following the drum line. Right here, the drum line stop playing, and I have to keep that 100 tempo. Can't slow down. And then the drum line comes back in, and then it all fixes out itself. Follow the drum line. Kept following the drum line. This is good tempo from the And keep that 100 tempo until the drum line comes back in. Keep it. Have to keep going. Yes, you can be emotional in this time, but you also have to be in time and make sure that it sounds great to the audience's ear. Keep that 100 tempo as they go through these rolls. Subdivision. I swear, the drum line slowed that down every single rep that we did, so it was really cool, though. We just keep the tempo. Give a big cutoff. But yeah, that's kind of the gist of that whole movement. It was a lot of fun, though. Right here, I was actually following the drum set player, making sure that we were in time together with all these crashes, because he kind of leads the front ensemble a little bit with a lot of this timing stuff at the beginning of part 3. And now I'm on the bass line as they go through their feature. Keep the time. And then the quads come in. As the snares are getting ready to come in, I actually have to be slightly on top of the quads so that the snares sound in time. So now I'm following the snares. This next part that's coming up is very tricky. And so right here, I am now speeding up to be on top of what I hear, to bring in a brass pod that's in front of me. But so right here, I'm still ahead, because they sound in time to the audience. But if I were to be in time with the drum set player, they would have been late. And so I had to be just on top. And right here, Catherine took over a lot of the timing responsibilities. Who was my other drum major in the front with me. She kind of focused on just, reading the notes, reading the pitches of the drums, and knowing that to make sure that she was in time with what they were playing. This is vibey. I was just watching her, so I was having a good time. I was kind of like singing the parts and stuff. I really didn't have to focus on the being in charge of time in that specific moment. But coming back right here after this long whole note from the trumpets, I'm back in time. And so I'm just right here, I'm dudding, making sure that I'm completely in time with the drum line. Just like a 4 on top of a 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1. And just making sure that it stays in time with the drum line. It wasn't anything crazy here, just watching the drum line, making sure that I was in time. Because they're behind the brass and the color guard, so I have to make sure that I look through all of them to make sure to find their feet and to keep time. Just following their 6 here, reading their rudiments. Off. 1. Just keeping that time, just strict time right in the head, because through all of this stuff, it's just a lot of like mental, like you gotta make sure that you keep that tempo through the whole movement, no matter what you're doing. And like right here, it's a lot of watching the front ensemble, making sure that I stay at the exact tempo. And then right here we have a bit of decrescendo, a slow in speed. There it is. And so we are slower than we started. Just keeping straight time with the little duts that I'm doing. And then I follow the drum line as they start coming in, because they start ramping up the speed a little bit. And right here, just following the drum line as they go through this whole movement. This is probably the best moment that I could have ever dreamed of. Just following. Just following their rudiments, making sure that I'm, just finding those strict beats, making sure that time is staying super, super consistent throughout this whole movement. Because any inconsistencies could really, really, just make the ensemble not sound as together it could be. Just following the drum line. Big loud chord. Just following the drum line as they go through the little ending feature. Can't listen to anything, just gotta focus on what the drum line's playing. And cut off. Keep straight time. I look at the drum set player. Me and him are just like in contact. Keeping straight time here. And then right here, just have to keep straight 176 in the head. Listen to the dots. Off. So right there at the end is just a lot of consistent time and making sure that it stayed the same, because if we did it, then it would have sounded a little off, but it sounded really good. And so that's kind of the gist of like a whole show, and it's very, very difficult because you have to keep that up for an entire show. And it's like, oh, can I actually do this? And you can. Like, a lot of drum majors think that all they have to do is listen. It goes a lot more than listen and watch the drum line. And that's just for the fact of a lot of timing things when it comes to like where groups are on the field. And so like if the drum line's on side 2 and the rest of the brass line is side 1, they can't listen to the drum line because then they're going to be late to everything. And so following the hands, making sure that the hands are correct always. And so it's a lot of timing responsibilities and a lot of things that could go wrong but always end up being correct, just because of the fact that if you do your assignment and you do your timing assignment correctly, it's going to sound great to the audience in the front. Yeah, thank you. And this was kind of a good moment to kind of realize, like, even me, like, I wasn't perfect throughout the season. Like, there was a lot of times when there was things that could have been a little bit better, but I was super happy with how everything ended. But yeah, so I'll see you guys later.